Welcome to Business Reporter's sustainability campaign hosted on the Telegraph online. I'm Stefan Stern, and today we're talking to Avivah Wittenberg-Cox from 21st. Hello. Why should we worry about this issue of gender balance? What's the problem here?
I'd say it's actually not a problem, and I'd invite you not to worry. But if you're interested in a really easy, interesting, and lucrative business opportunity, gender balance is it. Companies that are more gender balanced in leadership outperform their peers. Today, the world is 60% of the educated talent on the planet is female. 80% of consumer buying decisions are made by women in an ever-expanding range of sectors. The question really today isn't why, but why not?
And what are the barriers preventing organisations becoming more gender balanced? What's going wrong?
I'd say there are three. Pretty simple. Leaders, cultures, and systems. I think we have leaders that are not necessarily aware about the issue, not necessarily very skilled at leading through the change. I think we have cultures that are unconsciously more masculine than they think and exclude a lot of the good female talent without ever intentionally meaning to do so. Mm-hmm. And I think we have systems that underwrite all of those behaviors and trends, usually with a lot of unconscious bias implanted into not only the talent management systems, but also the sales and marketing approaches with clients and customers.
Mm-hmm. Now, one thing organizations do when they think they might have a problem is they form networks internally. They call them the women's network, or even like a support group of some kind. How successful is that in your experience? Is that a way of approaching this problem?
Well, since it neither addresses leaders, cultures, nor systems, we found that it's actually been pretty dependably proven now that it doesn't work. It is still very common that the first thing that organizations will do pretty reliably, if their analysis of the problem is, my gosh, we don't have enough women in leadership, why don't we start a women's network, let the ladies talk to each other, they'll feel better, and maybe then we can promote them, just doesn't seem to deliver. A better question is not what's the matter with women, so that we can help coach a company and strengthen them. What's the matter with our organization and culture that we keep self-replicating the current dominant majority that is in place? And what do we as leaders need to learn or understand in order to change that trend?
So there's a majority in power, but when some of them hear that they've got to do a better job of retaining, encouraging, promoting women, some of that majority, if they are men, are going to think maybe, well, I'm going to lose out at this. So they might feel somehow criticised or got at. How do we navigate around that tension potentially?
Yeah, well, it's one of the key issues in addressing this issue. So right now, what you hear too much of is how are we going to engage men, as though we sort of have to invite them gently to the table and somehow get them to deliver more balance. I think we need to change the whole paradigm that this isn't about promoting women. It's about promoting the best talent and responding most appropriately to customers so that we can grow our business. And that requires a shift in vocabulary, in leadership, in how we frame the issue, and saying that it's not a women's issue. It's actually a leadership issue and a balance issue that affects both men and women equally. And we need leaders who are more skilled at saying that and then helping everybody to get on board and showing that this is actually a win-win proposition. Organizations that are better at recruiting, retaining, and promoting women also happen to be better places for humans to work.
And it's a sustainability point about the long-term success of the organisation in a world that's changing so much, where life expectancy is growing, where caring responsibilities are growing at both ends of the age range. This is about an organisation just fitted to the 21st century rather than the last one.
Yeah, women are a sort of positive canary in the mine, right? Organizations that adapt to women have already done a lot of the work that is going to be required to manage not only our aging and senior populations, but this whole Gen Y and millennial population that's moving in that wants much greater responsibility and variation and not such linear career patterns. That's what women have been asking for now for a couple of decades. Companies that started on that road already with women are going to be ahead for all the other humans too.
So it's a challenge to the people in power who think maybe the system's fine, it suited them. They're at the top, that's the validation of the system. They've got to recognise what's going wrong and what needs to change.
Yes, and I think the challenge is getting them to see that as a fun, cool, sexy business opportunity rather than a boring HR unfortunate problem where they're being accused of things like unconscious bias. So I think branding vocabulary, we get called all the time now to, can you come and run an unconscious bias training course for our middle managers? That's just not going to do it. There's research to show that's ineffective. You have to make it a business topic like any other, get leaders aligned on what it is that they're trying to achieve, and then they need to enroll and convince their teams to get on board and make sure that everybody gets rewarded for having more balanced teams and be able to respond to a more balanced marketplace.
And 60% of the graduate population is not a diversity issue, it's just a human issue and a talent issue.
So absolutely, this issue of how you frame this, if you frame it as a women's issue, one diversity dimension among others, you are setting it up to fail. You will not succeed on those terms. Women are now 60% of the talent, 80% of the consumer market. Why would you call them a diversity dimension? If we're really looking at who's diverse, we would be pointing our fingers in different directions today. So the idea is to really be able to make the economic and business case for this, and then to make sure that men and women win from getting the balance right.
Avivah, thank you very much.
My pleasure.